Gorgeous long legs for days, striking unique silvery dark eyes, a sleek silhouette with an hourglass figure, and a behind or a bum that can spin silk.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about us?
I thought for sure that was me, except for the dark eyes.
Wait, I thought that was me because Legs was my nickname in high school. So come on.
Hey!
Oh, my nickname in high school was Crazy Legs. We never talked about this.
Ooh. Actually, it's spinnerets that spin the silk, not the actual butt or anus of a spider. So today, y'all, we are talking about spiders, all 8 legs of them, much to my dismay, because we know from last episode that the only insect that I am terrified of is spiders.
Spiders. Yes.
Spiders.
And I mean, what do you think, Jenny, about the huge Joro spiders? The ones that are like as big as my head, they're kind of spreading across all the states right now. And of course, we've got them here in Georgia.
Nope. Faint, pass out, run away. Nope.
And honestly, though, Jenny, the reason why we decided to do a part 2 of spiders is because we are hoping together we can get you over your phobia. And the expert we have on today says you might even like spiders when he's done. What do you think of that?
I mean,
Silence.
I'll give it a shot. Let's go. Woo, woo. We'll give it a shot.
Let's cure her of the arachnophobia.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, hold on, Jenny.
Yes.
No, seriously, there's a spider behind you right now.
Stop it.
Oh, gross. The drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend. Taboos. Icky's what we do. It's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. Your gross out journey starts right here on Oh, Gross.
This episode is part 2 of our Halloween special on spiders. Remember, our regularly scheduled new episodes drop on Wednesdays. Now here is our Spooktacular special continued. Today, our guest is Rod Crawford, the curator of arachnology at the University of Washington's well-known Burke Museum.
Hi, Rod.
Hi, Rod. He oversees one of the largest collections of spiders on the West Coast.
So there's over 200,000 species.
Specimens.
Oh, specimens.
There aren't that many species of spiders.
Well, how many species are there then?
52 or 53,000 species.
Wow.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A natural history collection is not like a stamp collection. You don't want just one of each.
Okay, so I get it. It's kind of like with a spider collection, you want to have like 100 of each specimen.
There is just so much we don't know about spiders. Why is it you think that society has perceived them as something to be scared of? It seems like around the world, we're scared of spiders.
Well, it's not so much around the world. It's mainly in English-speaking countries.
Really?
I mean, there are lots of places where street vendors sell cooked spiders as snacks.
Oh,
that's true. You know what? That is true. My husband, who, when we travel, loves to try everything, has tried a spider as a snack. That is definitely true. Yeah. That is true.
It's mainly in the English-speaking world that most of these rumors circulate.
That makes sense because we're so conditioned to being scared of different arachnids, especially here in the US, you know, from when we see a show growing up or something, you know, with a spider or another arachnid like the scorpion. Those incite entertaining fear into us when we see them.
And the fears are learned.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not innate. I've given many spider programs to school children. The younger ones have a much smaller percentage that are afraid.
Right, because they don't know.
But on a few occasions, I've seen in a class of first or second graders, there's one kid who tries to scare the other kids by shoving spiders in their face or something like that. That's one of the ways they get to start being afraid. They also hear these stories. Some really scary spider story emerges from some far-off corner of the world. Before you know it, hundreds of news outlets are carrying it. A week or 10 days later, it gets debunked. And who carries the debunking? Maybe 5 or 6.
A perfect example of that is that story that went viral for like 2 years on how many spiders we swallow in our lifetime.
And each person who repeats it gives a different number.
Yeah, I heard 8. I heard 20.
I don't know of any authentic case of anyone swallowing a spider or any other solid object while they're sleeping.
Do spiders even like our mouths? Would they even be,
Would you creep up on sleeping King Kong just to drink from his mouth? There's lots of safer places to drink.
That's
Right.
true. We are King Kong to them.
What's wanted is an eyewitness report by someone else who is watching another person sleep. That has
There you go.
happened often enough in the history of the world that if spiders visited people's faces, we'd have at least one eyewitness report. Don't you think?
I never thought of it that way.
So you said there's 52,000, right? How many do you think are known to most people?
Very few people who aren't biologists have any clue how many species of spiders there are. And if they did know, they'd probably be horrified. My late father, for instance, called every spider he saw, "Oh, that's a barn spider."
Right. Which, brings me to the brown recluse, because I live in California and every time someone sees a brown spider, they think it's a brown recluse.
Whereas I have the authority of world expert on brown recluses, that the number of brown recluses in California is 0.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, wow.
I am not kidding you. He has a
Stop.
webpage on the subject of debunking the presence of brown recluse in California. They don't live in Washington, where I am either.
Oh, wow. Kara,
And
your
this
fears
one is in Nebraska.
Wow.
No, we live in Georgia. Are they in Georgia?
Yeah, there are some in the far northwest quarter of Georgia, but they're not common there.
I think Georgia also has the southern black widow.
That's correct. And they're considerably more common there than brown recluses.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one is all that dangerous to humans.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Before we get into how not dangerous they are, I need to know, where has this legend, rumor, whatever it is, come from that everyone in California believes we have brown recluses like hiding everywhere? I know I keep saying recluse because I'm from Chicago and I feel like we just sort of like collapse all our vowels, but I know it's recluse now. The recluse spider.
That's a Midwestern thing, yes.
It's a Midwestern thing, right, Molly?
Yes.
So back to the brown recluse.
Well, to begin with, everybody believes that if you didn't see what bit you, it was a spider. So they wake up in the morning with a little bump on their skin, a little sore spot, anything. It's a spider bite. What else could it be, is what they think. Secondly, the average person has only ever heard of 2 species of spiders, black widow and brown recluse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true.
Even if it was a spider, which it isn't, they think it can only be something they've heard of. So, therefore, it must be brown recluse. And they have heard stories, many of which are chain email type rumors, about horrible necrosis resulting from brown recluse bites that can cause you to have amputations and all these other stupid horror stories. And so if there's something that looks kind of like it might become necrotic, they instantly assume that it must be the one thing they've heard of that might be able to cause that, which is brown recluse.
So I just want to explain for everyone who might not know, necrotic actually means the death of cells or tissue through disease or injury. So literally the death of that tissue.
That is completely terrifying. Thinking of my flesh being eaten is completely terrifying.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me right now?
I grew up in Chicago and I never worried about the brown recluse there, but I definitely, when I moved to California,
it actually gets closer to Chicago than it does to California.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like, I never even thought about it until I moved to California, because everyone was like, oh, the stories of people being infested in their house and while they sleep, they got bit by one. So literally on the West Coast, it would be very rare for you to encounter one and get bit by one.
Well, the only one you're going to encounter would be one that someone that was like moving out from Kansas brought with them. And to be bitten by one is basically impossible.
So you're saying most bites we get are not going to end in skin necrosis from a brown recluse. and are not even from spiders?
There are at least 50 different common medical conditions that get blamed on spider bites, very few of which are caused by the bite of anything. One of the commoner things that people think is a brown recluse bite is MRSA infections, and those are actually way, way more dangerous than any spider bite on Earth.
Oh, yeah, MRSA. Now, that's an episode all in itself. Right, girls?
Yes.
That's
That
a
is
great idea.
Great idea.
So, those of you that don't know, MRSA is actually a methicillin-resistant staphylococcus, and it's a type of staph bacteria that can start on the skin and spread to other parts of the body,
Oh, wow.
including the blood, bones, lungs, and joints.
Crazy.
It can be very serious. MRSA is spread by skin-to-skin contact, and it can get into the body through cuts, bites, burns, or scrapes.
Do kids mostly get it, or do adults get it as well?
I know adults who have gotten it.
Anyone can get it. Yeah. And it can be deadly.
There are other kinds of infections which are also extremely dangerous. And then there are cases of skin cancer that are blamed on spider bites. In other words, if you blame something on a spider bite because you believe in all these spider myths, those false beliefs could end up killing you.
Recently, I got bit by something on my arm, and I was in the middle of somewhere where I had to do a virtual urgent care, where first I called Jenny because I think that she knows anything that has to do with any bug because she's a scientist as well. And she was like, I think you should check with a doctor. So I did an urgent care virtually, and the doctor was completely wrong. They said to me, I think you got bit by all these things. Was it a tick? I'm like, no, it wasn't a tick. And they got me really scared. And they're like, well, you should take this and this and this. So I went to my dermatologist 24 hours later, and he said, you had a mosquito bite. You're sensitive. You're allergic. You're just the kind of person that always has allergic reactions. And this is a severe allergic reaction to a mosquito bite that probably got dirty. You know what I mean? And my dermatologist said to me at the end of the session, do you know that spiders get blamed for the majority of skin conditions? And they're very rarely have to do with anything that I see.
Keep that, doctor. That's a typical medical school education has maybe an hour or two on spiders. And even that little bit might not be entirely accurate because the textbook writer might not know what he's talking about.
Right.
I need to ask about the scariest looking spider, the wolf spider. Can you tell us a little more about those?
Most people think that a spider is a wolf spider if it's big and hairy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's another piece of totally phony misinformation. The vast majority of real wolf spiders are about the size of my thumbnail.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Really?
I don't know for sure what house spiders are common in California cities. Here in Seattle, we have a spider called the giant house spider, which is not in the wolf spider family, not even related. Everyone calls it a wolf spider because it's big and hairy. And it's utterly harmless. So docile, a child can hold a live one in their bare hand.
Wow, that's so interesting. Molly and I are in Georgia, and we've, over the last few years, had an influx of the Joro spider, which I believe is from East Asia.
Oh, yes. Joro spiders are indeed in Georgia. They do not live indoors. They are in no way dangerous to humans. They're very shy. Their venom is unremarkable.
And I know that a lot of insects and species like ticks inject an anticoagulant, and people itch because it's an allergic reaction to it.
Ticks have such a great variety of anticoagulants that they're being bioassayed for medically useful molecules.
Yes.
And mosquitoes and other biting flies also have anticoagulants, and each one is individual to whatever the bloodsucker organism might happen to be. So if you're allergic to one, you're not necessarily allergic to all.
Oh.
Right.
But spiders do not have anticoagulants because spiders are not blood feeders.
That was my question. Are we allergic to, maybe a little allergic under the skin to the venom just a little bit, and that's why we itch sometimes when we get a spider bite?
Well, how do you know you even had a spider bite to begin with?
There we go. There we go.
If you did not see a spider standing on you, a spider is the very last and least likely thing to suspect. I mean, consider a man you're looking at over a long career has handled literally tens of thousands of different live spiders with his bare hands.
Wow.
And over all those decades has received exactly 3 genuine spider bites.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So the average person who would never hold a live spider if they could help it might conceivably get 1 actual spider bite in a lifetime.
So what about the daddy long legs? I remember growing up in Chicago that every time I had a bite on my leg when I woke up in the morning, my dad would say, "You got bit by a daddy long leg."
Different people use that same word for a species of real spider and for a longer-legged species of harvestmen, which are non-spider arachnids and have 0 venom. And some people, especially Europeans and Virginians, some Canadians, use that term for an insect.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So biologists do not ever use the word daddy long legs because it means nothing.
you just
Wow.
it's all everything is gone that I've ever heard about a spider. This is amazing. Wait,
Yes.
so the long-legged spiders that we have seen in our home,
That hang upside down from webs.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, those are cellar spiders, and I don't know of any genuine cases of one biting a human,
wow.
but the effect of their venom on insects is known to be extremely weak.
There's all these rumors, like California, we were talking about, of what is considered a venomous spider or not. What kind of spiders that are
All
venomous
spiders
can
are venomous. Don't fall into that pitfall.
all spiders are venomous?
I mean, basically all, 99.5%.
So there you go. So 90, and that, what does that mean? Define so people understand
They
better.
all have venom. It's not like snakes where there are a few species that have venom, but most of the snakes you see don't have any. Pretty much every spider you see has venom. It's just that the venom is not adapted to harming humans, which are not on the spider's menu.
Got it. What spiders besides the black widow have a venom that would hurt? It would be harmful to a human if they got bit.
There are approximately 25 or 30 worldwide, most of which you've never heard of.
Really? And how many of them are like in the region of the United States?
Well, we've got 3 species of black widow, plus brown widows and red widows, which are rarely any problem. We've got the brown recluse, which is common in Missouri and surrounding states, a few other recluse group species, which rarely encounter humans. Then there are a few other species whose bite would be painful, but none that have any real likelihood of making you sick. And even the widows and the recluses, they're not deadly.
Because we have black widows in Georgia and we have black widows in California. Those I've seen.
Not the same species, but yes, there are black widows.
So how are they different?
Well, the western black widow is one species, Latrodectus hesperus. The southern black widow is a different species, Latrodectus mactans. Their venom is similar.
And are they more likely, that's another one that everyone tells us to be afraid of?
Well, I mean, black widow is something that if you get black widow venom in you, you're not going to enjoy the experience. But it's been more than 50 years since anyone in this country died from it.
If I live in a state that has black widows, like California, or somewhere that has brown widows, what are the odds of seeing it inside your home?
Not a big chance. I mean, in Southern California, especially black widow, the western black widow is so common that it's not that unusual to have one wind up in a house, but they're not primarily house dwellers. They're not trying to live in your house.
Okay. And if you see a black widow or a brown widow, depending where you live, what should you do?
Well, if you see one that is not in some place that kids are playing or anything like that, don't worry about it.
Just ignore it.
Because, I mean, even if it's a black widow, it's still only a spider. It's
Right.
not as dangerous to you as the next human being who walks in front of your house.
100%.
That's good to know. How far do spiders travel?
Yes.
That depends on the spider. I mean, a tarantula probably has a lifetime traveling distance of maybe a quarter mile or so.
That's pretty far for a
Spiders
spider.
that disperse by air can travel thousands of miles.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
Anybody ever see Charlotte's Web? See the spiders ballooning at the end? They actually do that.
That's my favorite book in the whole world. I love that book.
Ballooning spiders have been caught landing on ships hundreds of miles out at sea.
Wow.
And they did not come from the ocean. They came from land.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Now, I have a question about when spiders die, they kind of curl up and do kind of this with their legs and
Right.
things like
That is because the leg extension in spiders is powered by a hydraulic mechanism.
Huh.
They retract their legs with muscles like we do, but they don't have a muscle to extend their legs. They do that by pumping blood pressure into their legs.
Okay.
Of course, when they die, they immediately start losing liquid to the atmosphere.
Okay.
So their blood pressure rapidly reduces to zero, and their legs can't extend.
That's so interesting.
And, I don't know if anyone has done an actual study of the fluctuations of spider blood pressure while they're walking, but it must be something wild. My doctor would be driven crazy if I was a spider. Or would undergo such enormous peaks and valleys.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. Is there any other study of that's been done with spiders that you think is fascinating that people need to know about?
Study is fascinating.
That you're right. I stand corrected.
You're right.
'Cause
You're right.
I am now. We are all now spider converts, aren't we, girls?
Yeah,
We are.
We're totally into the spiders now.
Maybe I shouldn't mention, because anybody who was afraid of spiders might hear this and never go outside again.
Jenny is afraid
Jenny.
of spiders.
Jenny,
Here
is
you
very
go,
afraid of
Jenny.
spiders.
A good spider habitat, like a tall grass meadow, for example, can have anywhere from 200 to 400 individual spiders per square meter.
Whoa.
Jenny.
200 to 400.
No.
Maybe between 100 and 200 on the forest floor, and at least that many up above in the tree canopy.
Wow.
In a bog, there can be many more than that. There can be as many as 2,000 per square meter in a sphagnum bog.
Jenny, you are not going to a bog anytime soon, are you?
Jenny is bogless.
Most of these spiders are small. Most of all spiders are small,
Mhm.
Tiny.
which really disappoints kids when they come here for a tour, because they think nothing is cool unless it's big.
Yeah.
Do you think one of the myths that we have about spiders, especially in the States, is because we, think about fall and Halloween and arachnids are more active? Is that true that they're more active during the fall?
That's largely dependent on where you're located. Here in Seattle, the giant house spiders have their mating season and start running around and becoming conspicuous in August and September.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually well over before September 21st, which is the first day of fall. But people think of it as being fall, although it's not really fall.
Right.
That's a season myth.
Right. Yeah.
Everything's a myth.
They're the first arachnologists we've ever met, but it's so amazing how many different species there are of spiders, and also the size, because when you bring up size, I've seen some almost the size of a pinhead, and then, the normal house spiders that we see that are bigger. So it's amazing the difference in size of spiders.
Yeah, of course, Joro spiders and giant house spiders are big, but but spiders in that size range are just an insignificant minority of all spiders.
I have a question, and I wonder if this is a wives' tale or not. So in Calabasas, not too far from me, I know people who get tarantulas in their pool at certain times of year, and they say it's because the tarantulas are mating.
Well, you'll see more tarantulas rapidly moving from one place to another during their mating season. That's not true only of tarantulas. It's true of pretty much all spiders. So when a male spider of any species becomes sexually mature, he's probably not going to find many mates right where he happens to be standing at that moment. So he has to start wandering around looking for a mate. That's when male spiders tend to get into trouble with their human neighbors.
Oh.
They run across the living room floor if they're a house spider. If you're a tarantula, you might fall into the pool. If you're a folding door spider, you might be attracted to somebody's porch light.
So when we see these spiders more, they're horny. Is that basically it?
Well, it's a little bit hard to apply human emotional states to a creature that only has 50,000 brain cells.
Well, when they do mate, are there different numbers of eggs depending on the species of spiders that they can lay at one time?
Female spiders have little pouches just inside their sex organ that are called seminal receptacles. When they mate, they store the male sperm in these pouches. It doesn't go to the eggs immediately. And once those pouches are full, then the female is no longer going to be receptive to mates. And she can store that sperm in a viable state for a long time, weeks, sometimes even months.
Oh, wow.
And until she is ready to produce a batch of eggs. Then she produces those eggs through a slit in her abdomen right adjacent to those seminal receptacles. And they are fertilized at the moment that they are laid. The female does the fertilizing using sperm that she has acquired from a male a long time prior.
Wow.
Wow.
Could it be multiple males, or is it just that they only mate once?
That depends on the species and also on how lucky a particular male happened to get.
So some spiders have multiple partners and some species don't.
Right. And some individuals, it can go either way.
Just like humans, right?
Right?
Wow. And how many eggs at one time can a female spider lay? Is it different for different species?
It can run from 2 to 9,000.
Whoa! 9,000 eggs.
Or maybe it's 900, I forget.
That's still a lot. 900 is still a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of eggs. That's a lot of eggs.
And what are some of the benefits of spiders?
The biggest benefit of spiders is that they're the most important of all predators on insects. It is primarily spiders that keep insect populations under control. If some arachnophobe could wave a magic wand and make all spiders disappear, that would basically be the end of human civilization, because many, many thousands of different species would go into a boom and bust cycle like a plague of locusts and continue reproducing until they've consumed all their potential food supply.
That is scary.
Yeah, and there's so many things out there where people, now especially with pesticides and people having hiring different companies. And I know some people who are afraid of spiders, that they'll want to get rid of all the spiders in their house, and they'll hire somebody to try to get rid of all the spiders in their house.
Yeah, and many of those companies, some of the less honest ones, will tell you, oh, we'll take care of that. We'll do a perimeter treatment around your house so the spiders can't come in. If they're not total ignoramuses, they probably already know that the spiders in the house aren't coming in from outside, because that species doesn't even live outside, but they want to sell this perimeter treatment. So that's what they say.
So we have spiders living in our home all the time, and we have no idea because they don't care about us.
I mean, they don't know you exist. Most house spiders can't even form images with their eyes.
That was going to be my next question, because I know they have an exoskeleton. So are they more sensory, where they feel a vibration of something coming towards them?
Vibration and various other kinds of touch-related senses. In us, we just say we have a sense of touch, but in spiders, that's divided into 4 or 5 separate senses with separate sense organs. And then they can't smell airborne odors, so spider repellents are a scam.
Oh, I was going to say, what about natural? Some people say, if you put eucalyptus or something, combination, that's good for spiders, but they can't smell it, you're saying?
No, I mean, they might hesitate to walk on it.
Right.
Because that's how they detect different chemicals, by touch.
Oh.
95% of spiders have 8 eyes. Most of the rest have 6 eyes, but they don't form images.
Okay.
Some detect light versus shadow. Some detect movement. It's like a photoelectric cell. You wave your hand in front of it. It detects your movement, but it's not forming any image.
Okay.
Each one is wired to the brain in a different way. So the light it detects is influencing a different aspect of the spider's behavior.
What kind of environment do spiders usually like to live in?
Well, it depends on the species. I mean, there are species that live between the bases of grass blades in your lawn. There are species that live in tree foliage. There are species that live in shrubs.
Crazy.
Species that live in leaf litter on the ground. Species that live in rotten logs. There are species that live in houses. They're all different species. The spider you find in your house is 95% chance, roughly, that it's a house spider species, which means that you could search from now until doomsday and never find a member of that species out in your yard.
Oh, wow.
And what's more, spiders are not attracted to warmth. They do not come into your house in the fall to get out of the cold.
Oh, I was going to ask that. No, huh?
Outdoor spiders can rarely even survive indoors. Your house is a very, very dry habitat. It's a desert. Most spiders need water.
I love all the debunking the myths about spiders. And one of the things that I never knew about spiders until I had studied a little bit more in depth was we know that they all make a web, but they don't all spin webs. Is that true?
Yeah, the spiders use silk, but they don't all make a prey capture web with it. One thing they all do is leave a thread behind them while they're walking around. That's called the drag line.
Mm-hmm.
And all female spiders wrap up their eggs in silk, and that's called an egg sac.
And that's another myth.
Those
People
are the
think
only
that
two things that all spiders use silk for.
There's another myth that people have said that, and I'm so glad you've already debunked that, is that spiders might lay eggs under your skin. And that's obviously not true.
Yeah, somebody who wanted to create a scary story to harrow his listeners with heard about insects whose larvae can develop under human skin. And they thought, that's not scary enough. I'll switch it over to spiders. That'll really scare them.
Marcus.
Marcus.
Marcus definitely does that in his films.
No spider has the equipment to push its eggs through the skin of anything, whether it's the skin of a person, the skin of a piece of fruit, whatever. They lay their eggs in a batch on a platform of silk and then finish wrapping it up in silk. And that's how all spiders produce their eggs.
Well, Rod, you just debunked Marcus's horror film.
If you had your top 4 takeaways you think people need to know about spiders or misconceptions, if you want our audience to know, top 4 or 5 things, what do you want to summarize, let everybody know about spiders?
Well, number 1, spiders are critical to the function of our planet's land ecosystems. They're much more important to the planet than we are. Number 2, it's highly unlikely that a spider ever bit you.
That's good to know, Jenny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Number 3, the consequence of a spider bite is usually trivial and it's practically never fatal. Number 4, there are spiders living in your house, whether you like it or not. You can just wave as they go by.
So they're just polite roommates, I guess.
And we've learned that they won't really see us waving at them. They might just sense,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. A change.
Right. I mean, if you're walking, a spider's vibration sensors is going to sense that boom, 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 boom. If you're casting a shadow, a spider that's caught out in the light by somebody turning a room light on or something might conceivably run toward the nearest shadow to hide.
So they're not attracted to the light. They're the opposite. They want to go to the shadow.
Right. Well, some spiders are attracted to light under some circumstances, but there are 52 or 53,000 spider species and counting. A few years ago, it was only 49,000.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, what happened?
Yeah.
A lot more species got named.
Oh, identified.
And there
Okay.
are a lot more waiting to be named. When I started studying the spiders of the state of Washington, I could come up with less than 300 species that had been recorded from the state. I'm now up to 975 and counting.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Maybe I'll live long enough to make that.
You will.
You will.
You will. We know you will.
Yes.
Also, we have to tell everyone, remember, do not buy anything if they tell you it is repellent because the way it smells.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and ultrasonic repellers don't work either.
Oh, okay.
That's important. Oh, so even though it's vibration, it doesn't work either.
Well, they have been shown not to work on spiders, on cockroaches, on mosquitoes, and a few other things. Of course, they haven't tested them on every insect on Earth.
So our podcast, we talk about all things that are gross, especially as parents, things that we deal with. So do you have an oh gross moment that you could share with us?
How about when I scoop my cat's litter box?
That's pretty gross.
That can be gross. That can be really gross. Yes.
And scary.
Yeah, Jenny, tell us what kind of things can live in that litter box.
Oh, so many things. Oh, and well, the grossest
for one thing.
And one of the grossest things about pets too, when you have a cat and maybe a dog, is that dogs think of cat poo like, a Tootsie Roll. And then when you know what that dog's getting into when they're eating,
I
yes.
have a friend who had a dog and a cat, and she was always telling me about her dog's penchant for cat box hors d'oeuvres.
Yes. It's so true. It is. It's so gross, but so true.
Have you ever gotten anything from the litter box? Or
I mean, toxoplasmosis is supposed to be mainly dangerous to pregnant women, so I'm okay.
Yeah. I know. I remember that when I was pregnant, they're like, don't change the litter box.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they always say that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely. Well, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on with us today and speaking with us. I mean, we've learned so much.
Yes.
And Jenny, how were you at your fear meter now that you've spoken with Rod?
I'm not nearly as scared, and I'm very fascinated, and I think I'm going to go do a little bit of studying on spiders because I do love all things science. So I really appreciate all of the information and facts that you've given because there's so many myths out there that need to be debunked, and really spiders are so important, and it's amazing all the misinformation that's out there about them.
I mean, especially the fact that how many horror movies are about laying eggs in your face or spiders hatching and coming out your skin and going in your mouth.
Right.
All these things that are not even possible. It's based in, the sphere-based sort of rhetoric. But this has been amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Rod, so much. What a pleasure.
You're welcome.
If you found this conversation as fascinating as we did, and I know you did listening, you need to check out Rod's website. It's the Spider-Myth site, perfect name, and it's hosted by the Burke Museum at burkemuseum.org.
Wow, Rod was a really great guest. I am so impressed with all the information that he gave today.
He was great.
My mind is blown. My mind is blown on so many levels. First of all, Daddy Longlegs is not a real spider.
Yes. Right? Spiders can't see.
The brown recluse, the brown recluse is not in California at all.
And Jay, now your fear of spiders, you don't need to have one.
No, also like the fact that the average person gets bit by one spider in their lifetime, and the stuff we see on the internet is that you eat 8 to 20 spiders in your lifetime.
I'm very relieved that is such a myth that we don't have to worry about swallowing spiders in our sleep.
I know,
or them crawling in our ears.
Oh, in our ears. I'm so happy that he told us that.
Well, you know how crazy I am at Halloween. I'm thinking now that I'm going to change my spider decorations and I'm going to dress them up cute, like little Cabbage Patch Kids, so that people don't see my spiders in my house as scary anymore.
There you go. Give them names, dress them up.
You can name them.
Your little pet friends.
So join us next Wednesday for a really fun episode. Molly and I surprised Jenny. She had no idea we were doing an episode and that it was going to be about something gross that happened in my household.
I can't wait for this episode.
I still am in shock. I had no idea.
If you want to find out what happened, you need to join us next Wednesday. Until then, we'll see you across social at It's Oh Gross or on our website at ohgross.com.
Thanks for listening to Oh Gross wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to hit the follow button so you never miss an episode.
Oh, gross. That drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend, taboos. Icky is what we do. Psoriasis, podiatrist, and pinworms too. It's so gross. No need for strife, because gross. Life's just part of life, it's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. We got the facts, nothing to fear. Oh, gross. It's just science, no, it's not weird. It's just science, nothing to fear. It's just science, so wipe those tears. It's boogers and rash and that sticky scratch. Oh, gross. That drama's about to